back at the insanity that was this week and look ahead to what will make us facepalm next week. This is What Just Happened on the Dean Obeidallah Show. Take it away, Dean.
And welcome to the Dean Obeidallah Show. It is our third hour on Fridays, which means it's time for What Just Happened. And we're joined by a comedian and a journalist. But since the comedian is my friend Maysoon, she's late. But she'll be here in a few minutes. But right now, in studio, my friend Sopan Deb from the New York Times. Before that, CBS and a stand-up comic as well. Sopan, great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me back. It's been too long.
It has been. You've been busy, though. You're doing your things. Well, I talked to you since you were back from your trip to India, right?
Yeah.
And now you're doing...
Have you ever been to India?
No, almost. Close. I was in... I was offered to. I was in doing a comedy show in Muscat, Oman. Which is not far from India. And they were doing a fundraiser in India, and it just didn't work out when I was there.
So how was the show?
The show in Muscat, Oman was cool. It was the first... I think it was one of the first stand-up comedy shows ever in their country's history by...
So wait, is that true?
Yeah, no, seriously.
And so was there stuff you couldn't say? So what couldn't you joke about?
Well, I've been interviewed by the New York Times for this before, but I'll tell you.
Oh, is that right?
No, I have, because I produced the comedy festival, the first comedy festival in the history of the Middle East in 2008, 9, and 10 in Jordan. Full festival.
Well, I wasn't with the Times then, in my defense.
No, I'm kidding you. I'm busting chops about it. But no, in Muscat, Oman, it was the same limitations anywhere in the Middle East, where no jokes about the leader of the country you're in, no jokes about sex, and no jokes about religion, any religion, not just Islam, nothing but Christianity, Judaism, no jokes about religion.
So what's left?
Well, you got everything about your life. You could talk about American politics. You talk about pop culture.
Yeah.
In Lebanon, the producer, I'm not kidding, said to us, he goes, "You can say whatever you want, but if you make fun of Hezbollah, you're on your own." and he wasn't kidding. So we're like, okay, fair enough. We weren't going to.
So how many of you at that particular show? How many comics were there?
In Muscat, Oman, there was 3 of us.
Okay, so did anybody say anything that maybe?
No, because you're professional comedians. You're getting paid to do corporate events.
Let me ask that in a different way. Is everyone still alive from that trip?
Yeah, no, there's never... The only person who ever had a problem in a show I was at was in Egypt with Maysoon. And she made fun of Egypt Air in Egypt, and someone from the Egypt government was there, and they run that airline. And that person got so upset they came backstage and yelled at her in Arabic. And she speaks Arabic fluently, so she was they were sort of back and forth. And they're like, "You're banned." They were telling her, "You're banned from the country" to her. You know, that was when Mubarak ran things.
Oh my gosh.
So after the revolution.
So is Maysoon actually banned from Egypt?
Well, not Mubarak's gone, so no. Unless Sisi has brought that back in. Currently, he took over.
They're very passionate about Egypt Air.
But I was in Muscat, Oman, and there's a big Muslim population in India. They were going to do some fundraiser for a Muslim cause. In fact, I did a fundraiser for a cause in India, but in Kuwait. So, and look who's coming in right now. Look who's here! Right on Muslim time. It is Maysoon Zayid. Maysoon, come on in. I know you had a problem with security, as always. They had to put you in you got randomly selected here, even here at Sirius XM?
I literally sat at security for 10 minutes because they had me as Mason instead of Maysoon.
Maysoon, you remember?
And no one could.
Sopan Deb.
He's my arch nemesis.
Look at how I think all the time that I'm a brown guy, but when I'm with Sopan and Maysoon, I am the whitest guy ever. Your
he was
eyes
just
look
telling
cool.
us that you almost got banned from Egypt?
She got banned from Egypt.
Or you did get banned, temporarily banned, and then Mubarak is gone? Okay.
No, because after Mubarak left, the people who banned me were still there.
Oh,
really?
Okay.
Yeah. What about now? Cece's there. You could
the same girl, Faiza bin is still there, the woman who raced up on stage.
So if you land at Cairo airport, there's a picture of Maysoon. Like, don't let this person into the country. There's a big picture.
She's not funny. Yeah.
So Maysoon Zayid's here. Very funny comedian, been on before. Had one of the top TED Talks in the world. And if you're in Washington, D.C., we'll be performing together December 14th at a big show at George Washington University. We're helping produce it, the New York American Comedy Festival, but it's for ADC. And if you want tickets, go to adc.org. ADC is just the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee.
So I didn't dress up like a Christmas tree for you. I'm going to hang out with Dave Matthews after this.
Really? Where?
Which how? The show last night?
What?
Where?
He has 2 shows at Madison Square Garden yesterday and today.
So you were there last night with Dave Matthews.
Last night I saw the show, and tonight I'm going just to hang out.
After the show, right? After the show, you're going to go right there?
Because I love you so much, I came on a Friday night to the Christmas tree, and I'm missing the show and going after this.
But you're going to go right over there?
Yeah.
All right. This is why you're dressed up. She comes in usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually I look like
I was at the
something
show
the cat
last night as well,
dragged
by the way.
You were?
Yeah.
It
And?
was wonderful.
in. It was such a
Were you
good
the only
trip.
brown people there?
Yeah,
That's
me
like
and
the
the-
whitest guy
Yeah, we
ever.
still. I saw. As soon as I saw each other, gave each other a little nod.
They seat you in the same section
Let's
for a
just say
second.
the band is much more diverse than the audience.
That's right.
So, all right. So let's talk about a couple of things here. It's our weekend review. Let's talk about, I want to get your gut reaction. Michael Cohen yesterday, obviously the huge news, pleads guilty to lying to protect Donald Trump, and he's working with Robert Mueller. And what's your visceral reaction to this? Either of your characters?
Well, I'm like the John Oliver thing. We got him or we didn't. Because like I can no longer hope anymore. What I should be really excited that not only is Trump being named, but they're also pointing at Ivanka. I've been wanting her to get locked up since the lock her up chant started.
Really? Why Ivanka do you want to see in prison?
Princess Sparkly Face. She's the most dangerous of them all. And it's not because I'm judging women harsher than men.
Right.
It's because she is so complicit and so dangerous. And she's dangerous to her own children. And I just think she's the real kingpin.
No,
not him.
you really
Yes.
think, no kidding
100%.
aside, that the whole place, she's the Lady Macbeth of this whole
She
thing.
is Lady
She runs everything.
Macbeth.
Wow. And
You know,
what Shakespearean character?
my
gonna
initial
say
reaction
this?
is like it is with many Trump news cycles, which is, oh, what a big news story. And then by lunch, we've moved on to something else. You know, like it feels like by Monday, we'll have moved on to something else. You know, it feels like a big story, and then it doesn't. It disappears. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I'm going to provide an alternate kind of thought on this. Is that Michael Cohen has been a person that has never been particularly honest, going back many, many years.
So him and Trump get along so well.
Well, if he wasn't honest, like he certainly wasn't honest during the campaign.
Sure.
So if he wasn't, there are a lot of people that are jumping up and down, like Michael Cohen is going to bring down Trump. And my thing is like, well, why is Michael Cohen suddenly a reliable narrator?
He's suddenly a reliable narrative because Mueller wouldn't have gone after him if he didn't have solid proof. No one in the world is going off of Michael Cohen's words.
Yeah, that's probably
this
true.
Dude was so slippery. He taped every conversation. He screenshotted every text message. There is no way they gave him a plea deal unless they had solid proof. Because I'm a lawyer. No, you're the lawyer.
I'm the lawyer. But
I literally have. I have a theater major.
No, but you're absolutely right, because there was reporting today from the Wall Street Journal. I mean, first there was reporting yesterday that Michael Cohen said he had briefed the Trump family. Reporting from Wall Street Journal today that there was emails, at least one to Don Jr. and Ivanka, updating them on what's going on. So my point is there's actually written documents about what's going on. And there's no dispute. There was a letter of intent that Felix Sater sent to him in October 2015. And so you've got this time, October 2015 to June 2016, if you believe Michael Cohen, just assume it for this conversation, that there was an earnest negotiation going on. And then you have Donald Trump lying to the American people, which is not a crime. But what does he get? Like, he's not being honest with the American people. He's saying good things about Putin. We went through earlier in the show in March of 2016, while negotiating, he's calling for less sanctions on Russia over Crimea. So there was actually policy words in connection with this potential business benefit to him.
Well, the other thing about Trump news cycles, they always go a certain way as well, in that Trump, a big story breaks. Let's say the Trump Tower meeting.
Right.
Right. Initially, it was about nothing. It was about adoption.
Right.
And then it became, oh yeah, they were giving us some campaign dirt. But so what? And then who wouldn't take the meeting?
Right.
And that's already what's happened
He
with
went
this
quickly
news cycle.
to this one. He's like, I'm a business guy.
At first, it was Michael Cohen's a liar who doesn't know anything.
Right.
And then it became, well, I was doing some light business with Russia, but
Lightly
who wouldn't I?
he
Who
tweeted,
no
yeah.
one thought it was all very cool and very legal, I think is what the exact wording was.
Exactly.
And then he said, I think he was telling reporters, he said, there was a very good chance I wasn't going to win, so I had a business to run. I had to go back. I might have had to go back to the business. So why wouldn't I look out for business opportunities? And that's where this news cycle is headed, right? The people are going to say, well, he's a businessman. He's not your typical politician. That's why he was keeping his business opportunities open. Who wouldn't do that? And that's how this always
goes. What gets you
goes.
charged with treason? No,
it has to be at
because like
war
what
with
you're
someone.
this is what I as I dig through everything and we
Right.
see all this obvious like dirty filthiness of conspiring with a foreign nation. At what point is the fact he conspired with a foreign nation and was filthy legally, so it's okay turned into treason?
For real treason,
Could
it's
it be
harder,
when
but
the whole country
the
collapsed
legal
under him?
charge that he would be charged with potentially is conspiracy to defraud the United States of America, which is what Mueller charged the 12 or 13 GRU military people with attacking our
What was
democracy.
Benedict Arnold charged with?
It may have been treason at the time,
So there's
but
no more treason
I don't know about
charge?
treason. We're not at war with Russia. That's different. You actually have to be at war with Russia to do that. But Donald Trump here, when you're advocating policy changes and not revealing to the American public, I mean, there was a great clip. I want to play this clip. Lauren can play clip number 7. This is from a debate November 2015, and here's Donald Trump talking about Putin. And listen to Jeb Bush and Carly Fiorina afterwards.
As far as Syria, I like if Putin wants to go in, and I got to know him very well because we were both on 60 Minutes. We were stablemates, and we did very well that night. But you know that. But if Putin wants to go and knock the hell out of ISIS, I am all for it 100%, and I can't understand how anybody would be against it. They blew up, hold it, they blew up, wait a minute, they blew up a Russian airplane. He cannot be in love with these people. He's going in, and we can go in, and everybody should go in.
Donald is wrong on this. He is absolutely wrong on this. We're not going to be the world's policeman, but we sure as heck better be the world's leader. There's a huge difference where without us leading, voids are filled. And the idea that it's a good idea for Putin to be in Syria, let ISIS take out Assad, and then Putin will take out ISIS. I mean, that's like a board game. That's like playing Monopoly or something. That's not how the real world works.
Mr. Trump ought to know that we should not speak to people from a position of weakness.
Let's bring that so then Carly Fiorina goes after him. Then there was other clips earlier showing Trump praising Putin during the campaign. Now, what was not revealed is that at that very time he had a letter of intent signed with the Russians, and Michael Cohen was earnestly negotiating to make a business deal with the Russians. So you have Donald Trump defending Putin. That's not a crime. It is scummy as hell, though.
But what about the part of the platform? Like
that was in June, right? In July, he wanted to change. They did
Right.
change it to be less supportive of the Ukraine, which is something that what Putin wanted. To me, though, the bigger question is, Donald Trump's making this deal with Russia at the very same time Russia's hacking into the DNC, into John Podesta, and giving emails to WikiLeaks.
on his birthday, June 14th.
Oh, I didn't know that. And no, but the question is, that's where the crime comes in. If this was all part of this conspiracy, like, look, we're going to play ball with you, with Putin. You're going to help me win the election. And that's where the crime comes in. And we don't
Something's
know. We have
got
to
to take
connect
him
that.
down. It's either got to be Stormy or the fact that he's Putin's,
I think
person.
Stormy's kind of, I'm not sure if Stormy's going to do that anymore. So what about, let's turn to...
Well, Michael Cohen still admitted to the campaign finance violation, whether or not Stormy's fallen from grace.
That's different. And that Donald Trump is an unindicted co-conspirator based on the words of Michael Cohen.
So
if they're
basically, we
believable.
know nothing's going to take him out. He's going to win 2000.
No.
He's
We'll
going to
see.
win 220, and we should just let it go.
No. We're going to fight tooth and nail, and the House is going to have... I mean, how significant is it to you guys that the House is going to have control by
Not at
Democrats? Why not?
The Senate can still appoint all of his crackheads and nothing. The important
See,
stuff,
how many crackheads?
judges, Betsy DeVos's, whatever, Whitaker, that's all the Senate. So we're just going to keep having these people put in stuff until the laws no longer matter. The House will subpoena the DOJ or the Supreme Court will shut it down. Whoever it is that can shut it down, it'll either be Kavanaugh or Whitaker, and nothing will happen. We just feel good that we have 40 seats, but it's meaningless.
Sopan, do you think it's meaningless?
No. I mean, I don't think it's meaningless, but it's impossible to know. And I say that with my kind of reporter hat on, is that everything is so unprecedented. So you have also a thing where the Democratic Party, for the first time has a little bit of leverage in the Trump administration, and they don't know what to do with that. And you saw that in the last week or so, the backlash that Chuck Schumer got for saying, "Oh, we're not going to give Trump $5 billion for his wall. We're going to give him $1.6 billion." And suddenly the outrage was, like, what are you doing? Giving him a $1.6 billion
Exactly.
from the left.
Exactly.
And so, that'll be that'll be what's interesting to watch going forward, is to see what does Nancy Pelosi do as Speaker? What is what do they do with the investigations? Who do they subpoena? How far do they take these investigations, and what do they investigate? And then, how far do they take, let's say, Ivanka Trump using a personal email address?
How about investigating all the sexual assaults? How about focusing on the fact that there's an admitted sexual predator in the White House and going super simple and getting that info? You
could do that. I mean, it's hard pressed to say that's
we're going to say
our...
America doesn't care if we have a rapist in the White House, so it won't
No,
stick.
I'm not saying that, but their job in Congress in Article 1, they're charged with being a check on the president, right? So that tends to be more present stuff going on, that things have happened now or in the White House as opposed to years ago. But perhaps there's a way to bring it up. I just don't want them to do anything that makes it seem like they're Benghaziing it, and then they lose all their credibility.
It doesn't matter what they do. They'll be Benghaziing it no matter what, because there's so many different things they can do.
That's the thing, yeah.
and we've all seen nothing takes him down. So they have to keep trying until they take him down, which will be 2024, and he'll get a third term. And he'll live forever.
Well, I just had an expert on extremism.
So yeah, we've a big optimist here.
I mean, have you seen anything? Honestly, we have someone who is clearly a criminal. We have someone with document assaults of women. We have someone who knows nothing and speaks not like a fifth grader, but just like someone who's never attended school, seen television, or spoken to another human being. He's like,
it's like having the Daily News read to you out loud
Cub, basically.
It's like having what?
It's like having the Daily News read to you out loud.
Yeah.
It's like at a third grade level. So that's sort of like...
So nothing has been able to take him out. Why would I be like, yes, I totally think that the Congress that
No, they're not going to take him out. They
giving
can't take him out. It's not about that. It's about really, I think, setting up...
But they can impeach him, right?
They can. That's just the indictment. Then it goes to the Senate for removal. You need 2/3 of the Senate.
So,
and that's
full circle. It's not that I'm a pessimist. You don't got the Senate, you don't got Trump.
Boom! You should write a song, like a Beyonce song. You don't got the Senate. No. All right. Let's take a break and come back and talk about Jay-Z going after Kanye West.
So Jay should write that song.
Who did?
Jay-Z should write that song.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I was saying that. That's why it made me go to that. So let's go to that. We're going to play, when we come back, we'll play a clip of the song. It's got the N-word in it, warning everyone. I'm not singing it. I'm not saying it. But in case people, they understand it's not comes out of nowhere. But we'll come back and talk about that. But Jay-Z in the song is calling Kanye West a house N-word. And the question is that okay? Like if we had a Muslim who works with Trump, wouldn't use the exact same word, but that same idea? Or should it not be that there shouldn't be African Americans and Muslim Americans who are Republicans as well as Democrats?
This isn't... We're going to talk about it later.
I'm just teasing it.
We're going to talk about it later.
Come right back because Maysoon wants
a cliffhanger.
It is. We'll be right back with more of the Dino Bidala Show. My friend Sopan and Maysoon Zayid right here. You're listening to the Dino Bidala Show, where we crush Trump's lies every single day.
On Sirius XM Progress 127.
Your entire week's exhausting news broken down in one hilarious hour. What Just Happened is now live with Dean Obeidallah.
And welcome back to Dean Obeidallah's show. What Just Happened? We look back at the week, joined by Maysoon, Zayid, comedian, and my sister from another mom, and Sopan, culture writer for the New York Times, also a comedian. So Trump, not Trump. Oh my God, Jay-Z.
That's easy to mix up. I'll give you that.
Trump's on my mind too much. It's not healthy. Jay-Z.
It's not. It's not, right?
Right, it's not. I know it's killing me inside. I'm not even kidding you.
Oh no, but it also, do you know about this? It's causing a lot of people like actual health issues.
Sure.
Yeah.
I agree. No, it is. My sister's a psychologist, and they.
Why do you think I passed up covering the White House? This is why I left politics after the 2016 campaign.
Did you have a lot of stress on the campaign? Because Sopan was on the road with the Trump people, the circus.
I was on the road. I saw more Trump rallies. I probably still to this day, outside of the people that cover the campaign and went to the White House, see more Trump rallies.
I'm sorry to correct you. You mean Klan rallies?
I have seen more Trump rallies in person than most, the 99%.
More than Dave Matthews concerts?
More than Dave Matthews concerts.
Have you?
I've seen 30-something Dave Matthews concerts, and I've seen hundreds of Trump rallies.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm up to 2.
And it's actually, by the way, it's actually very similar in that, fans will go on the road.
There's no similarity, and I will smite you.
No. What I mean by that is that there are Trump fans that would travel around the country with him. And go, I'd see the same, some of the same people.
Wow.
Some of the same people at each rally. I'd be like, hey, didn't I see you in Georgia? Yeah, I drove 15 hours a week. And
they
you know
love
why?
him.
Because think about this. Every Dave Matthews show is different, right? Because every set list is different. No two performances are the same of even the same 2 songs. You can play 2 different versions of his hit song. It's going to be different. Whereas, same thing with Trump, right? He'd come out every night and each speech is different. He's not using a prompter. He's sometimes he's bringing a baby on stage. It's a show. It's a show. It's a show. And so people would drive. There were these vendors that would sell these T-shirts, and they would follow him around 40, 50 rallies. And that was their living for the year, going around selling Trump merchandise. They'd stand outside. And it was so, yeah. And the thing about covering Trump is that when you wake up in the morning, right, at 6 a.m. and he's tweeting. But you're not just covering Trump, right? You got to keep track of Kellyanne Conway going on Hannity show, or Corey Lewandowski going on Chris Cuomo's show. So you are up until 10, 11 o'clock, midnight, 2 in the morning, just making sure that it's just...
Because you're writing. Because when you were on the road, you were writing for CBS.
Writing, doing TV, doing radio, doing everything. But you have to keep track of not just the candidate, but also the aides and all the ancillary stories that come with that. And so it was very exhausting because this candidate...
Now you can chill out, go to Dave Matthews.
Yeah, now... Right. Now I can go to Dave Matthews.
Hang out with us on a Friday night.
Right.
So, okay, let's talk. And today, in a new album by Meek Mills, that's how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Okay. And the track is What's Free. And in it, Jay-Z has a part where he raps going after Kanye West. I'm going to play a little bit. Again, I warn you, there's the N-word in it, so I don't want anybody stunned by it. It's not me saying it. It's Sopan Deb singing it. So, no, it's not. Here's Jay-Z. This is from let's play clip number 5, and we'll talk about it afterwards.
But they never give you leverage. No red hat, don't Michael and Prince me and yay. They separate you when you got Michael and Prince's DNA. I ain't one of these house niggas you bought. My house like a resort. My house bigger than yours. My spot. Come on, man. My route better, of course. We started without food in our mouth. They gave us pork and pig intestines.
All right, so there, the big part, no red hat, don't Michael and Prince me and yay. And then he said that I ain't one of these house N-words you bought. And that's where the beef is now, sort of like the idea that Jay-Z has called Kanye a house N-word. And the question is that fair to do that? Because he happens to be, I think Kanye, I'm not a doctor, there's something going on there, but he could be, just take it at face value. He's just a more conservative, just assume he's a more conservative African-American. Can't you have more conservative African-Americans?
Sure you can, but we have to stop conflating racism, bigotry, hatred, and violence against women with conservatism. They're not the same thing. I consider myself conservative. We've talked about this on your show a million times. I'm very conservative, but I don't believe in forcing people to live their lives the way that I choose to. It's not he's a Republican, and it's not we have different politics. He's supporting violence against the African American community. He's supporting creating a really dangerous world for his own children. So yes, it's Jay-Z's time to call him out. And when you're talking about, do we say this about people? Sure we do. And the Indian community says this about like Bobby Jindal and Nikki Haley.
We'll have Sopan answer that. No brown-splaining to Indian-splaining.
I'm sorry. Did I just poo-splain you?
You just told them, you were sitting next to an Indian man and you just explained what Indian people are about, which I love that. So now you explain what Muslim women are about from Jersey.
Tonight.
Yeah.
No, but...
What Maysoon actually means.
Yes, please.
What's your reaction to the idea of calling him a house N-word?
If I could, because you asked an interesting question before the break, which was, how would you feel about a Muslim working for Trump?
Right.
And I'm trying to think of if there were any.
I don't think there are now. I could be wrong.
Waleed Perez was not Muslim, right?
Because Trump works for MBS. MBS doesn't work for Trump, so that doesn't count.
But if there was a prominent... Because actually, at rallies, you occasionally see like Muslims for Trump or something like that. You occasionally see that. Sure. And this was like post-Muslim ban, you know, and I remember having a couple conversations. They were like, oh, well, like he has his reasons.
How did you know that? Was that women wearing a Confederate flag hijab? Is that how you noticed it?
There was always a sign. Lebanese for Trump, you know.
He's making these signs.
You know, no. Right. No, but no, seriously, I'm genuinely curious. Someone you know.
I would not go to the White House if they invited me just to the iftar this year, and I went when Obama was there. I didn't even go when iftar. I went to a meeting at the White House, a couple. But if they invited me to the iftar, I would not even go. I want nothing to do with this administration. As Maysoon said, this is not left and right. It really is about a guy who's about white supremacy and sexism and bigotry and even invoking, at least subtly, violence. I just had an extremist expert on right before you came on who said point blank, if Trump were to call for violence, he believes some percentage of his base would rise up and do that. And it's very scary. And this guy is not a partisan. He's an extremism expert.
Well, my family was invited to serve him at Bedminster. I don't want to use the name of the truck because I don't want Colt 45 to come and set it on fire. And we said, no, thank you. And I thought, if Obama was president, I would have driven the truck myself. I've been like, don't worry about the shaking. I can fry falafel, you know. And we literally said no to serving an American president and having that as a credit and the publicity and everything else because I would not even feed him if he was starving in the street.
But let me ask you this, and none of us for African Americans I'm representing this is true from what I've heard, that even if it wasn't Trump, if it was just there are some African American Republicans. There's some who host one on Patriot and stuff like that. Right. That some in their own community look at them very almost like sellouts. And I understand that feeling because I feel the same about Muslim Republicans who are conservatives. But I wonder, I fight with that because I'm like, is that fair? Isn't it kind of good to have Muslims who are Republicans who are just part of the normal Republican? Forget Trump. Like Suhail Khan was part of the Bush administration. Wasn't that a good idea to have that?
They have to be like Ana Navarro. They have to be like, I'm a Republican. I object to everything that Trump's doing and everything that the GOP's doing because the entire leadership of the party. But I mean, not Trump.
Forget Trump. Forget Trump's gone. There's just a new Republican president, just a normal conservative.
No, there's no problem with that.
So you have no problem with Muslims getting involved in that?
No.
What's it like in the Indian American community? Like I'm not forcing you to answer for an entire community, but
is it answer for the entire Indians?
You're a monolith, so
no. Is there a lot of support for Trump? Is it mixed?
So during the campaign, Trump had a huge event in New Jersey. The Hindus for Trump. I think they're from what I remember of the campaign, especially. I mean, in the rise of Modi and the rise of Trump were both fueled in some. The common thread there was they were both very nationalistic candidates.
And both anti-Muslim on some level. At least to my community, Modi's viewed as anti-Muslim. He's the leader of India right now.
Because of that whole massacre.
Right. Exactly. I'm not saying he is, but I'm just saying he's perceived as being anti-Muslim.
And so there is a certain amount, there's a reason that Trump gets received so warmly, you know, in the in some factions of the Indian community. It's certainly not a monolith. It's certainly not, but I think the nationalism thing, you know, it really unites.
And today Trump is meeting with Modi, in fact, isn't he?
Yeah. Speaking of a poo, did you see that in? Did you see that sign?
In Argentina.
What's the sign?
There's a sign. It was a picture of a poo on the day Modi was arriving, and it said he's arriving or something like that.
Oh
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so horrific, and it's like a news station that actually put it.
Is that
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
All right, so let's take a break and come back and end our careers by talking about Mark Lamont Hill. And, no, we're gonna play our game. Guess who said? But when we go out, let's go.
Nice show outlasted, Miss.
Let's go. We'll go out to commercial with Colbert from last night or 2 nights ago about his holiday song for Trump. Here's clip number 6, a short song.
I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving while we were off. Of course, now we kick off a very special season. We're all waiting for that magical man to check his naughty and nice list because Mueller Claus is coming to town. He sees you when you're tweeting. He knows your hair is fake. He knows when you've been bad or bad because you're bad for goodness sake, you're bad.
Progressive values are the best of American values, and we need to keep fighting for them to save our country.
Don't go anywhere. This is the Dean Obadala Show on Sirius XM Progress 127.
You're listening to What Just Happened with everyone's favorite host, Dean Obadala.
And welcome back, Dean Obadala Show. We're live here doing our What Just Happened segment. And earlier in the show, by the way, I read the transcript from Don Jr.'s testimony from the Senate in 2017, where he said that there was no deal going on in 2016, certainly not. And I said, because I was based on NPR reporting, he was talking about the whole deal that Michael Cohen was talking about. Well, now NPR has issued a correction. It was about a different deal. So what I read earlier was incorrect because I relied on NPR. and such is life. It's reporting. I can only do what I can with reporting. And, I'm upset this mistake was made. So it does not mean Donald Trump Jr. has made a statement that's inconsistent with Michael Cohen as of now. That could be different. But I was asking Sopan now, the NPR doing this mistake and now getting corrected, all the right-wing media going crazy, going the NPR, liberal media, fake news, all that stuff. They really made a mistake and they really framed this wrong. They could have easily caught this because now the pages from the testimony are being released and it clearly talked about two deals. One was the Cohen deal and one was the other Russian family deal. And that's when he ended in 2014. At the New York Times, is there any sense that you have to be more close to perfect than ever now?
No, I don't mean that, and I don't mean that to be disagree with. The standards have always been there. Now, I've been at the Times for less than 2 years, but my standards as a reporter have not changed because I work at the Times or because Donald Trump is president. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's the same. Every journalist should have the same standards.
Sure.
And by the way, that's to be as close to perfect as possible.
Right.
Now, the difference is now if you make a mistake, it's a lot more magnified because of Twitter and because, the president, will call you out and say enemy to the press, blah, blah, blah. But as a reporter, I can't care. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, my job is to do the best reporting I can and be as perfect as I can, but that's always been the job. So it's not any worse now. You know what I mean? In that respect. Like, the Times didn't wake up the day after Election Day and say, well, we better start being really perfect now,
right.
That never happened,
Maysoon, in the time of Trump, the last few years, has your view of the media changed at all?
Mm-hmm.
In what way?
They're horrible.
You're a fan.
I'm not a fan because of what they did.
It's not personal to you.
So,
you know that.
So,
it's collective.
Who knows?
First of all, I love Chris Cuomo, and for your birthday and Christmas, you should make sure that I meet him.
He does a show from this studio during the day, 12 to 2.
No. I thought of sleeping in a locker and then coming to hang out, but that would get me arrested. Look, there are amazing people like you or Chris Cuomo who are really doing the work and doing it well. The reality is we got Trump because the media did not do their job for 2 years. And now any cleanup that they do is too late because they gifted him to us. The Klan rallies should not have been broadcast. The stories about all the terrible things that he's done his whole life should have been front page every day. And they gave him a pass. They thought it was funny. They kept giving him, they're still giving him free airtime. I think the free airtime he got affected the midterms.
When you're president, it's different.
Nothing like Obama. And I will tell you why I know. I watch General Hospital every single day. They cut into General Hospital maybe 3 times the entire 8 years Obama was here.
Right.
They cut into General Hospital every single day for Trump. Maybe 2 or 3 days not, and they'll put Kristen Nielsen or Sandra. So what was her name?
Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Yeah.
So Sopan. Do you, when you hear people, Maysoon's view resonates with so many people.
But I do think they need to do better.
The left and the right are upset with the media for their own reason. Because if you ask someone, are you upset with the media? They like their media.
Yeah.
We all I'm like, I love the New York Times. You're great. Washington Post, great, right? And I say that sincerely. When I say they're terrible, I'm thinking, from my point of view, the Breitbarts, Daily Callers, and if you talk to conservatives, it's the flip. They go, they're great, and Times and Washington Post are fake news. This is a problem that's getting deeper, and I think we have no objective check on Trump or any other president because we all have our own facts now. Any sense? I don't know what you do.
So let me address a couple of those points. First of all, whenever we talk about the media, it drives me a little crazy because, first of all, Maysoon is right in that there is a real antipathy that from both sides.
Yeah, I know. It's odd.
I don't think it's odd. I think this is. However, when we talk about the media, the media is not a monolith.
Exactly.
So how the Times covered the election, by the way, I did not cover the election for the Times. I covered it for CBS.
Right.
So I don't have a dog in this fight.
That's why you're sitting here.
Yeah. Right. So how the Times covered the election was different than how CBS covered the election. And how CBS covered the election is different than how Breitbart covered the election. Sure. How different than Fox News covered the election. And so forth and so on. So the point is, not everyone covered it the same way. So for example, let's take the case of CNN. CNN got a lot of criticism for airing his rallies live all the time without any interruption. Not all, MSNBC didn't do that. Right. Fox News didn't even do that. My point is that, like, whenever we have these kind of generalized, the media needs to do better. Some outlets certainly need to do better, others less so. Some were good. I'm not saying that the Times or CBS were.
It's not. Don't take.
I'm just saying.
Right,
I'm just saying that. I'm just saying that it's a lot of these discussions are kind of abstract because not everyone did. Like, if you did a survey of 330 million people in this country, ask them which one do you trust, Breitbart or the Times? They're going to say the Times. But if you ask them, hey, do you trust the media? They're going to say no.
I know.
So it's like,
and when I was talking about the media, I wasn't talking about Breitbart or Fox. I don't watch those.
I know.
I was talking about the media that I was silly enough to believe in and trust, that destroyed our country and now spends every dime on ink just interviewing Trump voters over and over.
Well, that's the remarkable thing.
I cannot tell you how many times I pitched, go interview disabled voters, Trump or not. And they won't do it. They're like, let me go to Trump.
Oh my God, there's there was just an article the other 2 days ago, and Eric Boehlert, who I like a lot, was like, oh wow, another interview of Trump voters. What makes them tick? I mean,
which one was this piece? Is it the Times piece?
It may have been the Times. They went to the Midwest. I'm like, where are the articles going and talk to progressives about what their views are? Like, this intrigue about Trump voters is almost like a National Geographic project. It's almost condescending on someone. Like, what makes them tick? Yeah. They're just, they like who they like. I don't care anymore. In the beginning, I got it, but now I don't give a shit anymore you like Trump. I get it. I really hate the guy. Done. We found our sides. We're 2 years in. In the beginning, I really got it. Now I don't get it. This Alexandra Pelosi, I just interviewed her, did a whole documentary for HBO about going to meet Trump voters. I'm like, why? I mean, I was very nice. We had it, and I go, why not talk to progressives? And she's like, Nancy Pelosi's daughter. She's like, well, I think people know what they think. I'm like, how do you? I don't know. Where are we covered? Like, why not? Because it's the idea that we are on the coast and the media knows us, and they're intrigued by people in the middle because they never go over the New York border and they never leave L.A. or Chicago or something. So, all right, let's play our game. We'll see if we have time still to destroy our careers before we're done tonight. Time for our game. Lauren, come on. Who said it?
Now, it's time for America's newest game show sensation.
Guess who said it?
And it's our weekly game show. Guess who said it? I'm going to read you a quote from this week. I'll give you the options. Maysoon and Sopan, there are no great prizes to play for. Just for enjoyment.
There's not even like chips this time.
No, behind you there's chips. We got pistachio. We got pretzels. We got. They're used, but still. All right, here we go. This is all compiled by my buddy Matt, our producer. Here's a line. It's very sad what's happened to Paul. Was that said by St. Peter, Art Garfunkel, Ringo Starr, or Donald Trump?
Donald Trump.
That was easy.
I'm very competitive.
He gave all the answers.
Stop chewing.
The other ones are more serious. Here we go. I think the weakness of Mueller's substantive findings are suggested by the fact that he has to resort to false statement prosecutions, which really shows us that he didn't start with very much. Was it Alan Dershowitz? Was it Tucker Carlson, Eric Trump, or Rudy Giuliani?
That was Dershowitz, right?
Rudy. He got it.
He got it right. Well, you got to wait for them both to answer. Come on, Lauren. Work with me.
Don't call her Lauren.
Her name is Lauren.
New Nina. Do it right.
No, not Nina.
Not Nina.
Not
Do
Nina.
Right. Yeah.
Better than Nina, she says. Oh, and the war is on. Okay, here we go. We must face the reality head on that President Trump's actions and instincts align with those of authoritarian regimes around the globe. Was it A, Bernie Sanders, B, everybody, C, Elizabeth Warren, or D, Hillary Clinton?
Everybody.
Clinton. I totally missed this one.
Wrong. Elizabeth Warren said that.
Ah.
It sounds Clintonian. It doesn't sound like Hillary. It sounds very kind of measured and responsible
and
intelligent.
Sounding more Trumpian, so it's really beautiful.
So the president says Michael Cohen was lying to the special prosecutor in an attempt to get a reduced sentence. If you lie to a special prosecutor, your sentence is not reduced. It adds on to the lies you already told. A, Rachel Maddow. B, Adam Schiff. C, Michael Avenatti. D, Shep Smith.
Chris Cuomo.
It's not Chris, but that's actually a fair guess, though.
I missed the. I'm going to go Shep.
Maddow.
He was right. It was Shep Smith.
You like Shep, don't you?
No, because Shep Smith calls out the bullshit. I play more clips of Judge Napolitano now than ever. No, because Trumpers listen to the show sometime, and it's above board. He was a real judge. I appeared before him once. He doesn't remember it, but I when I was a lawyer in Jersey.
Is that true?
Yeah. And he was a tough judge. I'm not kidding. And I was on his radio show a few times when him and Brian had a radio show, Kilmeade. We were on once, and I was on one other time. And
wait a minute, you were on the radio show with Kilmeade?
Yes.
And how did that go?
It was called Brian and the Judge.
Yeah,
something
Brian
like that.
and the Judge.
We did it once.
It was
fine.
a feel-good romp.
Yeah, they were fine. It wasn't radio's. And this was years ago, but it was different. And it was all right. Last one here. The fact of the matter is that this is an attempted invasion of our country, period. Our border must remain intact and secure. A, Sean Hannity, B, Tucker Carlson, C, Donald Trump, D, Boris Epstein.
D, Boris Epstein.
I'm going to go Boris, yeah.
You're right. That was on Sinclair.
Was that the Sinclair segment
he
that
got
he
in
did?
trouble
Yeah.
he didn't get in trouble. He got pushback. And then he defended Laura Loomer. And, that was just a no-win. You can't defend Laura Loomer.
Before we end our careers, I never, ever, ever watch Fox, and you have it on, and they're talking about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer right now.
They did that last night, too.
As a comedian, I couldn't make this up.
He had Dave Rubin
on.
Dave Rubin, a comedian I used to do comedy with, is not really a comedian anymore. Okay. Dave Rubin on talking about how progressives were attacking Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Meanwhile, Dave Rubin is an atheist who hates religion and is pretending to defend religion by doing that. I'm like, you can't find someone who actually is about Rudolph. I mean, it's such a joke. This is, and look how they're lighting the liberal issue.
And they're like so excited about it, and they totally missed the point that everyone's saying what Rudolph is about. It's a bullying story. So everyone other than the people who are being bullied are terrible people. They always have been. That was the point of the tale.
I don't even know what the liberals have complained about, my fellow progressives, about Rudolph.
They weren't complaining. They were just pointing out the fact that, like, Santa's a douche, Donner's a racist, everybody's really mean to Rudolph, and they only exploit him when they need him to guide the sleigh. And they weren't being... You have to read it. Nothing about it's serious. Because I love the Misfits.
HuffPost dubs Rudolph public enemy #1. All right, let's take a break and come back with more of the Dean Obeidallah Show right after this.
Dean Obeidallah Show on Sirius XM Progress 127.
You're listening to What Just Happened with everyone's favorite host, Dean Obeidallah.
welcome back, Dino Bidala Show. I'm not sure if I'm everyone's favorite host, but according to this. All right, quick.
You're my favorite
We have a couple
host.
minutes left here, my friend. I'm here with Maysoon, Zayid, Sopan. So this week, and let's be clear, it's Mark Lamont Hill, who I like Mark. I've not talked to him in over a year, but he had been on my other show once or twice. We had been on CNN a few times. And, you know, the media reports that he was fired by CNN. In reality, CNN is saying he is no longer under contract. I write for CNN. I get paid. I'm not under contract either. So their answer could have been, it could seem like they were giving in to some of the voices objecting to it. And he's literally just not under contract. And they just said he's no longer under contract. People are like he got fired. But I don't think he'll be on again in the near future. And he certainly won't be paid when he comes on. And there's not enough time to go through all the comments he made about Israel and Palestine, which caused the problems, except for one to say, he said, what we need is justice requires that it's a free Palestine from the river to the sea. And the Anti-Defamation League said he's calling for the destruction of Israel. ADL did not call for him to be fired, by the way. That was another group, some right-wing pro-Israel group. The ADL was just upset with him.
Did you say JDL?
ADL.
Oh,
no,
okay,
another group was called like Youth for Israel or something like that. And I emailed them before the show saying, I'm doing this show. Do you support a Palestinian state? And they don't respond because, of course, they don't. They're the mirror of, they don't believe in a Palestinian state. But look, first of all, there's no First Amendment in this time. It's not government action. It's CNN. But the world we live in, when conservatives are upset about any time they don't have free speech, it was conservatives on Twitter calling for Mark Lamont Hill to be fired. And we only have 2 minutes. I mean, does the hypocrisy trouble you? Does CNN action trouble you? Or is this just the world we live in? Anyone gets upset, and it's easier for companies to go like, we just don't want anything to do with you anymore and move on.
CNN, the action is what upsets me, not the people who complain, because we know the snowflakes are hypocrites. Like, that's all they do day and night. But CNN's action makes me sad because the idea that it's always either Palestine or destruction and not equality for all is good for everyone. And I can't speak for Mark, and I haven't spoken to him in a while, but clearly to me he was saying equality for all, not kill them all.
Right.
And I think that CNN knows that. And I think
Mark
that
tweeted before he was even the CNN responses, I support anti-Semitism. I'm not calling for the destruction of anything. I support Palestinian freedom and self-determination. And I spent my life fighting for these things.
And the worst part about it for me was it was such selective outrage. Like you said, so many people have said such worse things, and they're still on CNN.
Well, Rick Santorum said Palestinians don't even exist. So we have like 45 seconds.
I was just going to say, I do think there generally needs to be a rethinking of who gets to be a contributor and who doesn't. You know, because as soon as Corey Lewandowski...
I like being a contributor. Well, so tell me.
Listen... Corey Lewandowski got fired and immediately went around meeting networks to get presumably a pretty big deal from CNN. Jason Miller, same thing. You know, and they didn't get fired for anything they said on the air.
Right.
You know, and there's something. I do think in general as an industry there needs to be a rethinking of.
We got 10 seconds, my friend. I agree. It's a whole different discussion. Maysoon, Sopan, thanks very much.
Come see us in D.C.
December 14th.
December 14th. And Sopan in the New York Times.
Have a great weekend, everyone. I really appreciate you listening. Thanks you guys for coming in.